Hey, Tim Unkert here. In this video, I'm going to make a program in Python that takes two binomials and multiplies them together to get a quadratic in standard form. Okay, so let's bring up a draw island here and show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so I'm going to open up a little bit bigger screen here. But what I'm talking about is two binomials. So let's say x minus 2 times x minus 3. And we want to multiply these two together to get a quadratic in standard form. And you can do this with either double distribution or you can do FOIL. So if we do FOIL, FOIL stands for first. So the first terms together, outer, inner, and then last. And for this project, I'm going to make this a really easy program. I'm going to limit the values in front of x to just 1. Okay, so we're only going to take in two values, this value here and this value here, and let's just call them a and b, or we could call, well, we don't want to call them x and y because that might be a little confusing, but let's call them a and b. But if we do this with FOIL, we do x times x, 1 times 1, so we'll get a 1x squared. Then if we do our outer terms, we get x times negative 3, so we get negative 3x. And then if we do our inner terms, negative 2 times x, we get negative 2x. And then we do negative 2 times negative 3, which is positive 6. Okay, so that's a FOIL method. Now, it should be noted that when you're using the FOIL method, it only works for binomials, multiplying two binomials together. Okay, if you have like 3 binomials multiplied together, then it won't work, and you're going to have to do something like double distribution. Double distribution, what we do is we take this first term, we take like x, and we multiply it times both of these terms. So x minus 3. And then we have plus a negative 2 times x minus 3. Okay. So essentially what we're going to get is get x times x, so x squared. Now we multiply those two together. Then we do x times negative 3, so we get minus 3x, plus negative 2 times x, so we get plus negative 2x, and then negative 2 times 3, negative 3, which is positive 6. So we get the same thing with either method. And lastly, with either method, we combine like terms and we get x squared minus 5x plus 6. Okay, so we're going to write a program in Python. We're going to use a function. We're going to write a function. We're not going to do it with a class and an object. We're going to do it with a function. So we'll do it that way. So I'm going to start in a folder. I have my terminal open, and I have a folder called Math Python. I'm going to open Emacs into, let's call this multiply two binomials .py. Okay, and so I'm going to fire up Emacs. Halloween is getting close, so I have Doom, the Doom material theme. I know that's important. So I have to have Doom themes as I go up to Halloween. That's a thing. This is mid-September 2021. So just if you're watching this later. All right. So what I'm going to do for my Python environment is I'm actually going to hit Control X3. And you'll see I have this other window open here, and I have evil mode enabled. So I'm going to do a colon and then term. It's going to say bin bash. I hit enter. So I've got one terminal open over there, and over here, I'm going to write my program, and I'm going to run it in the terminal over here. Okay, so that's the Python development environment. If you're interested with it, I've got, let's see, LP is an extension installed, and then Flake 8 and Blacken are the three Python specific extensions. Blacken, so I'm just familiarizing myself with Emacs and Python. Blacken is like it's a syntax checker, I believe. Same with, I think, Flake 8. But anyways, so I followed a tutorial, set it up. So it seems to be working pretty well. All right, let's get back to the program. I'll try not to get distracted. Okay, so I'm going to declare a function. I do that in Python by typing def. And then the function name is going to be, let's just call it multiply binomials. And remember, we're just going to take in, we just want to take in these two numbers. So this number and this number. So I'm just going to call them A and B, and then we do a colon, okay? We move down to the next line. So one of the things, because I'm making this an easy program, I'm going to make the first coefficient, I'm going to make that equal to 1 because we're only doing values in front of x that are equal to 1, okay? In a later video, I may do a little bit more complex, or I may do even a little bit more complex where I multiply 3 binomials and we get a cubic. That sounds like that would be a fun one since I went the reverse way a few days ago. Okay, so I'm going to just make a variable, let's call it coefficient underscore 1, and that's going to equal 1. We're going to then have coefficient underscore 2, which is going to equal, now we have to think about what coefficient 2 is going to be. So let's go back to our draw island. So the second coefficient is going to be this -5 here, and we get that by adding the outer terms multiplied together and the inner terms multiplied together. In this case, since this is 1 and this is 1, we get basically -3 plus -2, or -2 plus -3, whatever way you want to think of that. But it's basically, for this type of problem, we get A plus B, okay? So this is going to be A plus B. And then we're going to have coefficient, actually we should call this not coefficient, constant. Let's just call it constant 1. There is only going to be one constant, but it's not a coefficient because it's not in front of a variable. But we're going to get this number here, this constant, okay? And we get that by multiplying this value by this value, okay? The last terms two together. So this is going to be A times B. Okay, so now we've got our three coefficients, so we can write our quadratic string. And I'm going to just name that quadratic underscore string. And I'm going to say the resulting quadratic is, and then let's do a plus here. Go down to, oops, no, I don't want to do that. Sorry. I've got to put a parentheses first, okay? And the other way. So the resulting quadratic, and see, we're trying to get some little bit of auto-suggest. That's one of those plugins that I have in there. So the resulting quadratic is, and then we'll do a plus, and then we'll bring it down. So we're formatting our lines nice, so we're not getting too long. And it kind of helps to kind of split the screen, so it kind of keeps me in check for not getting too long of lines. But we're going to say, okay, so coefficient, that'll be 1 plus, and then we're going to have x, and I'll just do this caret for the squared, plus, and then we can go a little bit longer, coefficient, it's going to be 2 plus, whoops, 2 plus, actually, let me move it down to the next line. Coefficient 2, now I could drag this over a little bit, but I'm not going to. Anyways, plus x plus, now we're going to have plus coefficient, or sorry, constant 1. and then plus, and then we'll just end it with a period and in the parentheses, okay? And then finally, we are going to return the, oh, one thing I almost messed up on. One thing I have to remember is that we want, these are going to be not strings. We want to convert them to strings here. And let's just move this down, format it a little bit better. And move that back here for some nice formatting there. And then I'm going to return my quadratic string. Okay. And then I'll go outside of the function, and I'm going to need to get those values. So I'm going to say A equals the integer value of the input of what is the value of A. Okay, and we'll close that out. And then B is going to equal the integer of the input, what is the value of B. Okay, and our solution string is going to equal the multiply binomials function when you take in A and B. Okay, and we are going to print our solution string. Okay, and now I'm going to save it. Okay, and I'm going to go over here, and to run this, I'm going to type Python 3 and then the name of the file. So it's multiply 2 binomials .py. Okay, so what is the value of A? Let's do our example, -2. What is the value of B? -3. The resulting quadratic is 1x squared plus -5x plus 6. Okay, so we've shown that our program can work. We can run it again. Let's do a positive and a negative. Let's do 4 and -5 this time. So we're going to get 1x squared minus 1x plus -20. Let's check it with two positives. Let's do 7 and 2. So we'll get x squared plus 9x plus 14. All right, so we see that our program is nice and working. So this is how to write a quick little function in Python that multiplies two binomials together to form a quadratic. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe and hit the bell for notifications, as it really helps the channel grow. And if you have subscribed and liked the videos, I hope you keep returning. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.